Well, hello and welcome everyone to this webinar presentation on the RightCapital and BridgeFT integration in action. We're really excited to have all of you here with us today. My name is Daniel Gregoire, the training lead at RightCapital. I'm joined here by Mike Sands, the VP of Operations and Client Success at BridgeFT. So we're really excited again to have all of you with us to demo this integration in person today. And I want to just mention a couple quick housekeeping items before I turn it over to Mike for a quick intro. And that's that this webinar itself, although everyone is on a listen only mode, is designed to be interactive. So if there are questions as we're making our way through the actual process today of demoing this integration, we would love for you to reach out to us through the GoToWebinar control panel, which should be a pop-up window towards the right side of your screen. And in that control panel, there's a drop-down menu with a questions area. So any questions that you pose in that control panel will be fed directly to us. And if there's anything Mike can help out with on the BridgeFT side, or if there's anything I can provide additional clarification on the RightCapital side of things, we are both happy to do so. So again, we're really excited about today's webinar. So I'll quickly turn it over to Mike so he can quickly introduce himself as well.
Thanks, Daniel. As he said, I'm Mike, the VP of Operations and Client Success at Bridge. My team runs the data and the client support team network. So if you have any questions, we'll be the team that will help you. We're really excited about this integration with RightCapital because a lot of our advisors have been asking for it, and I think it's going to be really helpful in making sure that you're able to serve your clients really effectively, both from a data standpoint and from a RightCapital standpoint. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Daniel, and he can take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mike. And what I'll be doing just quickly, everyone, is transitioning over to RightCapital software to really show the ins and outs of this integration from the initial setup of the actual BridgeFT connection with RightCapital to actually how it's going to be used within financial planning to really streamline the processes for advisors who are entering clients and really creating a much more informative experience with up-to-date values on investment accounts and making sure that we really have a lot of great information that the advisors can rely on when looking at helping clients establish new opportunities for financial planning in the future. But we just want to, of course, let everyone know that if there's additional questions about either Bridge or RightCapital, we do have our contact info here. So we encourage you to reach out to us by phone or email if you have any inquiries about how we can better serve you or your firm. And so ultimately, these are going to be great ways that you can reach out to us. So, here obviously, if you're new to RightCapital, we have the sales email there that you can always reach out to for a quick demo of the software or even a free 2-week trial. There's a phone number, of course, you can always call for our support team. And if you are an existing customer needing maybe a little assistance setting up the integration or having any questions, you can contact that support email there. And on the Bridge side, obviously, too, if you want a little more information on Bridge, you want to see what they can do for you and your firm, there you go. You have the sales at bridgeft.com right there, the phone number, and for existing customers, obviously the support connections as well. So I know here at RightCapital and on Bridge sides as well, we're all here to make sure you can all effectively use these tools and really see the value within your firm. So what we'll do now is just quickly transition from this PowerPoint presentation into RightCapital software, which of course is a really robust financial planning solution that we run here that can really demonstrate the value of this connection that we're establishing. So I'm going to go ahead, like I said, just quickly transition my screen. So everyone should be seeing a brand new window momentarily here. And as I open my financial planning tool here, you'll be able to see my advisor portal landing area to RightCapital software. Now, RightCapital is, of course, a great tool to be able to, forecast our clients, financial plan out into the future and project all their details so it can be really analyzed analytically with some really warm, inviting visuals that really help clients to understand some pretty complex scenarios that we commonly discuss with them. So the idea here is that when we're utilizing RightCapital as a tool, one of the areas that can take a little bit of time when we're actually setting clients up is the actual data entry for investment accounts. And when we're entering investment accounts, the idea is instead of having to either enter the accounts manually, or maybe setting up individual ticker symbols or holdings within accounts and entering individual cost basis information for every holding, there's going to be ways to streamline that process. And one of the best ways to do that is with the integration here with BridgeFT. So I want to quickly just illustrate to everyone how we would go about establishing this integration to begin with. Then we're going to look at how it can help an advisor who's building out a plan. And then we'll show you the different ways that we can interact with, of course, the information that's feeding in from Bridge. And we'll make sure to answer any questions that come up along the way. So again, just to reiterate, if anyone does have questions, we are here to help you. So in the control panel, there is that drop-down menu, and we encourage you to reach out to us if there's any additional information we can share. So again, when we're in this advisor portal landing area at RightCapital, I'll highlight that there's an integrations tab at the top of the screen. So this is, an area to establish our global integrations or our global settings that are going to affect all the clients in RightCapital. And what we're going to see is that on the left-hand side here, there's a list of integration partners. And what's nice is here on the left, we can see that BridgeFT is connected. So if we had already established this connection, this is exactly what it would look like. We'd see a green check mark. We would see that it says your BridgeFT account has been successfully integrated with RightCapital. But let's take one step back here. Let's just show you how we would go about setting this connection up in the first place. So whenever we click on an integration partner here in the integrations tab within RightCapital, we see a lot of really relevant data here on how to actually set this information up. So here we can see that integrating with BridgeFT is going to allow clients to have essentially all their position level account data set up in RightCapital, and it's going to be a really easy process to do that. And to set all that information up, all we have to do is input our username and password. So what I'm going to do is actually delete off my autofill keychain here and enter in a username and password to connect with BridgeFT. So again, here I'm just going to input my information. I can then input my password, and then I'm just going to very simply click connect. Now, once I do that, it's going to actually establish the integration itself. But for any users who are interested in finding a little bit more about the integration itself with BridgeFT, or maybe you're in the process of considering what it can do for you, we are always going to link a nice help center article that's going to walk through all the ways you can use this integration with nice visuals that are going to help give you step-by-step instructions. So you'll always find that at the bottom of this integration screen when you click on an integration partner like Bridge. So there, of course, if you wanted to, you could review that help center area. Now, as I click connect here, what we're going to see is that we're now going to get the message that says our BridgeFT account has been successfully integrated with RightCapital financial planning software. And again, now we see this green check mark on the right side of the integration partner list. So we are now fully connected. It's that simple. And what we can now do is utilize this really wonderful connection with Bridge to actually integrate in all of the clients' position level account data for existing clients that we have in the list, which is located on the left here, or for new clients that we're adding in. So just to give you a little exposure to how this process would actually work is, let's just say, for example, I'm an advisor putting in a new client. Maybe I have my client Alex and Rachel, who I'm looking to build a financial plan for. So we have a very simple process for creating a financial plan within RightCapital. So let's just say we have our client Rachel here, and maybe she's just a sample client that we're inputting. And I can choose to then just start the opportunity to detail all of this client's information to generate a financial plan by inputting the client's data now. And whether we're working off of a data collection template that we have or an old report from that we had from the past, we can then just start walking through the important steps of talking about really who's in this household, whether it's Rachel and Alex here. Additionally, we can say what kind of household income does this client have? Maybe that's roughly around 200,000 of household income. And we can also talk about simple things like what's being saved into the invested assets each year moving forward. So maybe they're contributing to their 401ks, maybe a taxable account for a specific amount each year. And then the net worth is really the next step that's usually taking a little more time with RightCapital, because we would have to go through and actually input each investment account within the software, all the individual tickers and holdings, and really dive into those nuances. So what we see here is that we can use that BridgeFT integration now to streamline that process and really bring in with one click all the client's investment data right into this net worth for Right Capital, which is really helping us to talk about where the clients are today and what are we using, today as our starting point to then project into the future with all the clients' relevant information around their income, savings, expenses, and goals. So in this case, I can very simply click link account. And again, that was just this green link account button here, which is where we can actually access the BridgeFT integration. Since I've connected that integration within the advisor portal, I'm going to see this integration button on the left-hand side. And as I click that, I now see an option for integrating with Bridge. And as I click Bridge, what we're going to see is then a list of all my clients. So I can then say, for example, I'm working on Rachel and Alex, and I can then very easily click off their names here on the list itself and click Save on the bottom right. What this is going to do is, as we see now, it's going to import all of those clients' investment accounts, and we'll see all of the details of those accounts listed within the client's net worth, again, with a click of one button. We can see the updated net worth here for $1,027,000. And as I open the investment area on the left, we can also see each investment account, whether it's the actual IRA that we have set up here with the individual securities and quantities, as well as for, let's say, a qualified account here, sorry, for a non-qualified account or a taxable account here, we'd see again the securities listed, the actual quantity of shares, the prices, the value, and additionally the cost basis information here. So all that data is feeding in with the click of one button into RightCapital software. And that's going to save us a fair amount of time instead of having to input all these tickers manually as we would be doing, with a manual add account feature. So again, if I was doing this manually, I'd actually have to then input each individual, security individually, input the shares and actually see, how all that tracks through the system. So really, you can see how that BridgeFT integration is really going to streamline this data entry process for the clients. Now, I also want to talk about something quickly, which is that RightCapital is going to use, for example, this taxable account with the value of $446,000 to essentially project this value into the future to be used for cash flow needs as needed or to grow with the appropriate rate of return. But RightCapital is going to be looking at this particular account that's feeding in from Bridge, and we're going to say that based on the actual holdings or asset classes listed, which are of course going to be seen underneath, we're going to assign a growth rate to this account as well as a standard deviation or a volatility percentage. So again, the actual asset allocation and how this account will perform in the future is going to be based on the actual asset classes or holdings that are listed. And basically what that means is we're going to use Morningstar categorization to filter these securities into individual asset classes. And at that point, we would actually then be able to see the appropriate growth rates assigned to these accounts for the future. And I just want to give everyone an example of what that's going to look like. But I also, before I do that and talk about how we can analyze these accounts that have been imported, I just want to remind everyone here that within RightCapital, we also have the option to change the asset allocation and to change the way these accounts are projected into the future. So just as a reminder, if we wanted to, instead of using the actual holdings and asset classes listed to determine the growth rates for this account, if I wanted to change that, all I'd have to do would be to click this hyperlink next to asset allocation and either use a customized breakdown of asset classes, or I could choose different model portfolios to represent this account. So in this case, we can see that the rough breakdown of this account is an 87-13 breakdown of equity fixed income. We can see the individual categories which are associated with this particular account. And then there is going to be another screen that I can show you the rate of return as well that's associated. But here I'd also just mention that you can easily drop in, let's say, if you're recommending the client reinvest these accounts differently in the future and you wanted to see what change that would have, you could easily drop in another portfolio here, whether it's a moderate or a growth portfolio to illustrate the differences between where they're at today and what we can you'd look at with a different portfolio or a customized allocation for the future. So again, this gives us a pretty clear view of how this data is being projected into the future. And if we were to finish this financial plan and just, let's say, enter some expenses here, be $5,000 a month, and then list some of our retirement goals, we could then see the outputs for this financial plan very easily. I've hit complete with the data entry, so we've left that process, but know that we can now evaluate all the information of the client's, bank accounts, their investment accounts that come in from Bridge here, and I can see all those details evaluated specifically within different planning modules that are listed at the top of the screen. So this is now a normal financial plan view, and I can then head into the investment tab to be able to really get into the nuances of, for example, for all those accounts that fed in from Bridge, what's the overall asset allocation, and what's the overall, breakdown of assets and the rate of return that would be applied to that, overall asset allocation versus the individual accounts. So this is where we can see, again, the rates of return tied to the IRA or the taxable accounts, and you can see the differences of those as it's how RightCapital will then treat them in the future. Know that, of course, you can always customize the rates of return within the asset classes. So, if we wanted, let's say this, for example, 68-32 breakdown, a rough 70-30 breakdown to earn a different rate of return than 7.9, we could tailor those features as well within RightCapital as needed. But really, this is an incredible way to streamline the data entry process within RightCapital and get some really wonderful information that feeds directly in from BridgeFT into RightCapital. And hopefully everyone was able to see how just simple it is to set that up. Entering your username and password within the advisor portal underneath that integrations tab is going to open up the possibilities to pull in all of your clients' position level account data into RightCapital software, again, with a click of one button. And it is, again, done manually for each client under either the actual client list. If you're just opening a client, you can always access the net worth to in a completed plan to link those accounts, or in the data entry process, you can link those specific accounts in the actual net worth area of the data entry or step 4. So that is, the extent of the integration currently. And so what we want to do now is actually dive into some questions. I will be switching back over to the PowerPoint slides just quickly, just to have the contact information up while we go through those questions. So again, I encourage anyone who wants a little bit more information today, simply type any questions you have into that control panel under the questions drop-down menu. That's going to be a really great place for all of you to communicate directly with us. So, what we'll do now is simply dive into these questions. Anything that's related to Bridge, I'll pitch over to Mike. Anything that's RightCapital related, I will take, and then I'll turn it over to Mike to close it out at the end of the presentation here. So one great question just came in from Dean. So I want to just focus on this one. He asks, so is this a one-way integration, just getting holdings from Bridge, not adding accounts from RightCapital into Bridge? And so Dean, I will answer that to say that currently, yes, this is a one-way data feed for now, and that's something that, is going to import data or integrate data, I should say, from Bridge, all the position level account data, the cost basis information data directly into RightCapital. And that information should be updating on a nearly daily basis. Typically, it's Tuesday through Saturday. These accounts will update with the previous night's closing value. So, there might be a Monday where you see values that are a day or two old, but by Tuesday, the information will update with the previous night's closing details. Now, another question here is, what is the benefit of linking Bridge over other custodians directly? So I would say that, this is just a really nice connection point. There's a lot of great cost basis information that comes over with Bridge that doesn't always come over with some of the other integrations. And I will just say that, this particular setup is very simple and easy to use. It's going to allow you to, with the click of a username and a password, get all of this information imported over to RightCapital. So that can be very helpful and easy to set up as well. So another good question here was, can statements get populated from Bridge into RightCapital? And I will say that currently, Chelsea, we don't have that functionality built in, but we're happy to take feedback for the future. And certainly we're currently the brand new integration here, so we're excited about it. But we're always happy to take feedback of different things you want to see for the future as well. Great. So everyone, those are the questions for now. I'll keep it open here for another 30 seconds or so, just to make sure there's no other bits of information we can share, from the bridge side of things or from Right Capital side of things. But we'd certainly be happy to answer any additional information that you'd like clarified on. Now, with that being said, it looks like we are about done with questions here. So what I want to do is obviously just thank everyone for your attendance today and for joining us to see a little bit more about this integration. Actually, we did have one piece here come in from Matthew. Matthew, if you want a little more information on the performance piece of things, you can let us know. Certainly, we can, as we showed you in the actual investments tab, we can track the actual accounts with the rates of return. We can look into the cash flows in the future to be able to actually detail out, the rates of return assigned to each account, the portfolio return, the account balances, how we're tapping into accounts in the future. All that should be found in the retirement cash flows. But if you need a replay of that, initial information, Matthew, you can always look at the replay on Right Capital's Help Center as needed. So looks like that's about it for everyone here. Perfect. So what we're going to do now is switch it over to Mike here and see if there's any other information that he wants to touch upon, and then we'll close it out. But thank you, everyone. It was great to be here with you today.
Thank you, and I just wanted to again thank everybody for coming. To add a little bit of color as well, one of the benefits we think of connecting to Bridge is that if you have other non-custodial feeds or multiple custodians, it can all be connected through a single connection with RightCapital, and that can help simplify your life if you're a multi-custodian advisor. So that's one piece that is also a benefit. As I said, we're really excited about this integration because we know a lot of our advisors are and have been asking for it because they use RightCapital. So if you have feedback, just to underline this as well, please let us know. We would love to help understand where it makes sense to expand the integration and do work to help you, again, serve your clients and client base even better than they do currently. If you are not with Bridge, I would also love to talk to you about what we do and how we can do it. As Matthew was saying in the chat, we do performance as well as billing. And so if you have any questions about that, please be in touch with our sales group, or support will also come through to me, and I'll be happy to talk to you about it. Thank you again for attending, and I think that's where I will leave it.
Great. Thanks, Matt and Mike, and have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. Bye now.